Okay. I feel like I've been starting a lot of post games with just some kind of guttural noise, and this is definitely one of those. Tough game to talk about in the moment. Right after it ended, that was an absolute battle. There's no way to say anything different. Um, I I think this is a game where if you're a Knicks fan, you have to be proud of the effort. Sorry, I'm trying to watch two children while I do this. Which is always a great way to end a game like this when you like have shit going on in your real life and the Knicks lose a heartbreaker. Anyway, you have to be proud after a game like this. But you could also be frustrated with a lot of the things that went wrong. And there were things that went wrong, and there were things you wish you could have back. They lost this game, I would say, on the defensive glass. They lost this game, if you want to say, from the free throw line. They lost this game because they, I think, got a little bit out-toughed, which is really saying something because you will rarely see a performance as tough and as gritty as the Knicks showed today. But they were not the toughest team on the court. And give credit where credit is due. I know the Raptors are not a good team this year. They have a bad record. They have struggled to score immensely in the half court. They seem to rise to the occasion when they play the Knicks. They certainly have done so in the 3 games they've played each other this year. Historically, they've been a terrible matchup. I don't think it's a good matchup. And I guess before I get to some of the specific, positives, and there are positives, I think the biggest positive you could take away from this game, if you're a Knicks fan, one, they didn't wilt. And they had an opportunity to wilt. They had a few opportunities to wilt, and they did not end up wilting. Now, you could flip that on its head, and you could say they had a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter, and they, as we have seen them do time and time again, they gave that lead away. Not gave it away. It was taken from them by a very game Toronto team. In no uncertain terms, but they, even as the Raptors were doing what the Raptors do, which is force you into turnovers and get out in transition, they didn't like cower, the Knicks. They still gave it what they had to give. If I was going to pinpoint one thing that was a moment or a couple of moments in the game where I was like, this is what we're going to wind up looking back on, I would say there were the possessions, 3 straight possessions in the fourth quarter where the Knicks turned it over. And it's not that they turned it over on 3 straight possessions, and then I think there was another possession shortly after the 3 straight that they turned it over again. It's the thing that has become endemic with this team as they have struggled over the last, really the last month and change to put away games. They kind of stopped running their offense. They stopped running their offense, and they just kind of tried to ISO, and it's like they're trying to milk the clock and run out until the final buzzer when there's way too many minutes left, and you can't do that. That's what was frustrating about that. That being said, I know I'm all over the place. Again, 2 kids running around. I will give them this, and then we'll move on because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments and things to talk about on this one. No Nick had a great game at all. I know RJ had one of the highlights of the season to get it into overtime. He ended up with a very good stat line. I appreciate that from him. He did not have a great game. He played a pretty terrible first half on both ends. Jalen Brunson forced it, I would say, as much as we have seen Jalen Brunson force it, especially down the stretch. Brunson ended up shooting 11 of 29 in this game. I don't know. I would have to go back and look, but I would have to say that that's probably one of the most, if not the most shots Jalen Brunson has ever taken in a game. It's right up there. And B, if you want to look at all the games that he's taken the most shots in his career, I guarantee you there is none or very few where he made as few field goals as that. So not a great game from him by any stretch. And Julius Randle, 21 points, 15 big rebounds, 8 assists. I thought his passing was the best part of his game today, and his toughness. He was tough as nails. He's been tough as nails for a while now, but again, even him, especially in the second half, forcing it, and like when you get a team that is a bad matchup for you, that's the opposite of what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to force it. That's, and again, this is easier said than done. But that's when you have to kind of make the extra effort to move the ball around. But then again, the Raptors make that really hard. And that's what they're designed to do. That was the Raptors' blueprint going into the season. Make life really, really, really hard for teams in the half court when they have the ball, and then get out in transition and just kind of attack. They do it well against the Knicks. And, end of the day, when you lose a close game like this, inevitably I look at the three-pointers, and the Knicks are 9 of 31 from deep. Hit a couple more threes, maybe have a different result. But it is what it is. Again, I love the toughness. I love the fight. I love a lot of what we saw today. Again, I'm happy they got it to overtime. I'm happy they didn't quit when they were down 6 in overtime. Happy about a lot of those things. This one feels different from some of the other games that they've choked away. Even though they lost, you could argue that this one maybe even feels a little bit better than the Pacers game, especially given the competition. But a loss is a loss, and a loss is frustrating, and it's incredibly frustrating, and that's, again, why I'm kind of all over the place right now. Very last thing, and then we'll move on. Just some of the minutes played in this game. RJ Barrett, 49. Jalen Brunson, 43. Julius Randle, 42. Grimes, 40. Mitch, 37. Quickly, only 21. I'm sure some people will have some quibbles about the guy who has clearly been the Knicks' third best player over the last month, only playing 21 minutes in this game. But we've been talking about this. And we're going to keep talking about it. The Knicks have 6 guys. It's a weird problem to have. They only have 6 guys that you really trust, but they have 6 guys that you really trust and who deserve to be on the floor in these situations, especially when you want Mitchell Robinson's size. It's going to be an issue moving forward, especially when they lose, which they did today. So that is about all I have to say. On that note, we will move on to the rest of our program. Andrew, what do you want to do first? Moment of the game. Okay, I have a bunch of candidates.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll spoiler alert. We know which one this is going to be. I will give you 3, though. I will give you the Randle steal and getting fouled in overtime.
It's one of mine.
That's certainly one of them. I thought the Randle drive and kick to Grimes for the 3 in regulation actually was a big moment, because that was right after those 3 straight turnovers when the offense was stagnant, and I was like, Jesus, guys, move the ball. Well, what does Randle do? He moves the ball, and it turns into a 3-pointer. And then obviously the RJ dunk to tie the game at the end of regulation. Those would be my 3 candidates for moment of the game.
Only other one I wanted to add was an iHeart outlet pass to Obi that was reminiscent of what people like to see from Isaiah Hartenstein leading the break. The bench minutes being what they were, that was a highlight that I noticed. I think the 3 that you mentioned would be the 3 that we can go with.
Yes, and then before we move on, I'll do a little public service announcement. I am only going to be on here until about 6:45, 6:50ish. So for the first hour, because I'm cheating on you, Andrew. I'm hopping over to talk to Yahoo Sports.
Cheating on all of us today.
Yes, cheating
not
on
just me. Yes.
Yahoo Sports, Jake Fisher, author of Built to Lose, friend of the pod, and one of the best NBA guys out there right now. So honored to be on his call-in show at 7:00 tonight. So try to get in many super chats as I can until that time.
So guys, here's the deal. John will be on for a little more than 40 minutes. Okay, you just got to deal with a little bit of RJ hate, a little bit of Tibbs defense. Once he leaves, we'll trash everybody. We'll even trash the refs when he leaves. Okay, don't worry about it. On that note, let's get to the super.
Please, let's. Thank you, Andrew. Robert Cross with the first one. First time, long time, John. How about those goddamn calories from RJ to close out the regulation? Hashtag 53 wins. Man, if they had won this one, you'd have got me talking about 53 in a way that is maybe not joking. So RJ's final stat line, 32 points, 10 of 23 from the field, 2 of 9 from 3, 10 of 11 from the line. That's easily the most impressive number from him tonight. 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Look, the dunk was awesome. They needed RJ today. They needed RJ's second half because this is a team that can neutralize Jalen Brunson, and they did. And they could really frustrate Julius Randle, and they did. And that leaves RJ, and I'm happy that RJ took advantage of that opportunity in the second half. Would you like to still see, I'm not going to put any words in your mouth, Robert. Would I still like to see more complete games? And what I mean by that is not necessarily has to be perfect for 48 minutes, but instead of like, oh my God, there's this great RJ half counterbalanced with this, oh my God, this terrible RJ half. Can we maybe just, I'd almost rather raise the level of one and lower the level of the other, and have a more balanced effort, because when he's that off, it really does make it difficult. I know it seems like a million years ago in a game like this that went to overtime and the whole thing, but like end of the first quarter, beginning of the second, it's just really tough when RJ is supposed to kind of be the engine of your offense and you're just, it's nothing doing. Now, he will grow into that, and like stuff like missed box outs and stuff like, poor defensive possessions. And we saw our fair share of those in this game. He is still a young player. He's still 22 years old. We expect a lot from this player. I expect a lot from this player. I'm incredibly harsh on this player. I've been incredibly harsh on this player since the day he was drafted. I'll be the first person to admit that. But all in all, really, really good game from him. Picked it up, did what he needed to do, and I think he ended up being the Knicks' best player of the game. And again, in a game where I don't think anyone was great. I do think he was, all things considered, I think he was the best. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. Mythic Monty, what's going on, Mythic? Easily the worst officiated game of the season. Yeah, I was waiting for someone else to bring it up. There's that one, the first one that pops into my mind is like the foul on Brunson, or the foul that wasn't called on Brunson. I'm pretty sure that was in the fourth quarter on one of the turnovers that was in the midst of when the Raptors were making their push. Like, that was a foul. That was a clear foul. I mean, when Mike Breen is like, oh, the refs missed that one, like, you don't get Mike Breen to say that unless it's legit, and Mike Breen said it. It was also just like an inconsistently officiated game. That was really the most frustrating part. The refs lost control of this game. It was very bad. And did it contribute to why they lost the game? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Hold on, let's go back to that comment. I want to read the rest of it. The league should send this tape to new referees to explain what not to do. Tough on a back-to-back. That's the other part of it, man. Bad job by me. Again, I'm out of sorts because my wife is still very, very much down for the count and trying to do what I do, double duty here. But this is a back-to-back game, so like frustrated, sure. Feel like you left stuff out there, absolutely. But back-to-backs, you're gonna get a lack of crisp basketball, and they were not, maybe as on their toes as they could have been today because it was the second day of a back-to-back, and that is like, and we could talk about the minutes if you want and be like, well, play more guys, and that's a whole other conversation that I think is incredibly valid. But yeah, proud of him for sure. Thanks, Mythic Monty, for the contribution and reminding me that this was the second night of a back-to-back. Sergio Acosta, free throws. Yep. Yeah. Brunson miss. Randle miss. Randle miss was first, then the Brunson miss. I'm sure there was another miss in the fourth. I think I'm forgetting about a Mitch miss in overtime, although you sign for 1 for 2 for him any day of the week. And they also missed at the they missed at the line late. I mean, I know the Randle miss, it got the offensive rebound, so it ended up being good. But yeah, I mean, you got to hit your free throws. This team does not necessarily have ice water in their veins. I think we could say that. Thanks, Sergio. Forgotten NYC. Okay, I'll be that guy. Absolutely disaster Randle game. Yeah, this is where you miss me because of this player's history. Like, if you judge this game on its face, and you're like, this is this player, and he is having this season. Did he force it too much? That's what I said at the top of the show. He absolutely forced it. Was he absolutely tough as nails on the boards? Yes. I thought his defense was good in spots, and at the same time, also not great in spots. I mean, there were a couple of moments where his rotations were not great. He overhelped. Like, that stuff counts too. I agree with that. But to say, I think his defense, there was good and bad. And they're asking a lot of him at both ends. So I always try to be cautious in my words and my tone when I talk about Randle's defense, because you have to account for what is being asked of him on the other end. And on the other end, he was not good. But am I going to kill the guy for forcing a little bit when he's been one of the 10 best players in the NBA over the last month and change? It's tough for me to do that, you know? We could say it was a bad game. I hate going over the top, you know? Disaster? Like, no, he's a lot of games that's not up to his usual standards. Let's say that. Or the standards we've become accustomed to. Hayden Freed, what's going on, Hayden? 1, fuck Scott Foster. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. 2, Quentin Grimes is becoming my favorite player to watch game in and game out. That's because he does nothing wrong. You know, like, the frustrating thing about even star players is, like, our standards get so high that when they commit turnovers or they miss shots, it's like it gets frustrating. Like today, a perfect example, Randle today. Grimes, like, I don't know what he shot today, but like, even when he misses shots, you feel like his decision making is always so on point. He was 3 of 5 from the field. He was 2 of 4 from deep. Finished with 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, stealing a block. He's just an easy guy to love. He does he executes his role about as well as you could execute that role. And then number 3, Brunson and RJ need to change names to Harden Siakam to get a free throw, apparently. Hashtag Eastern Conference Finals 2023 bound. I love the positivity, Hayden. I do. And thank you for the contribution. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? Knicks' defensive strategy on Barnes made absolutely zero sense. If you don't think RJ can handle him, put Randle on him. If you don't double, stupid. I mean, my pushback is the same as my pushback on any criticism of the scheme, which is always just like, well, what's the alternative? So the alternative is if you put Randle on him, then RJ is guarding, I guess, OG. You want to tell me you'd rather have RJ shooting out to the corners and that OG is a little bit of an easier cover? That's fair. That's fair. Look, hindsight's always 20/20. But did it work out? No, it did not work out. Their defense got exposed. I think in retrospect, yeah, that you could call it out. It's fine. I'm not going to go so far as to say it was stupid. Like, it's a measured decision. Barnes has had an incredibly disappointing year. I do think, though, it is more an indication of their tendency to overhelp, and that is an issue. Now, as I say that, the Raptors hit 30% from deep today. So, like, if that's the strategy, and the downside of that strategy, the overhelping, is that you're going to allow a lot of threes, and then you look up and the team that you lost to was 13 of 44 from deep and shot 29%. It's tough to say that I know it seems like they hit a lot of big threes, but it's tough to say that that's the strategy, for me at least. For me, it's like, again, if you're looking for nitpicks and why they lost, 14 offensive rebounds, a pretty big one. And of course, how many turnovers did they end up having? Yeah, you had 11 turnovers, but I think there were 5 in the fourth quarter. So it's just, those are the numbers that that annoy me more than anything they did on Scotty Barnes. Thanks, Danny. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? One of the best Knicks games I've ever watched. Wow. Okay. I like it. Absolutely heartbreaking to end in a loss. Fucking heartbreaking that Jalen Brunson has now missed 3-game winners. Yeah, man. It's funny. We're like 10 comments in or whatever it is, and first time somebody brought it up. I was fine with the decision. I thought it was the right decision. It was a good look. I rewatched it briefly before we came on, and there was like under 2 on the clock when he put it up. So the notion that he was going to get a better look inside the arc, I don't know about that. Yeah, he could hit that shot, and he didn't hit it today. At some point, he will. But yeah, it is annoying. It is annoying, especially as he's in the midst of this All-Star case, and like, you know, not that is why you want it to go in, but like, yeah. Anyway, I'm just looking at a tweet, quote tweet from Tom Piccolo, who's always amazing. And yes, there was a missed box out by RJ on Scotty Barnes on what ended up being the Knicks were up 108-107 with 15 seconds left. Van Vliet missed a 3. If RJ boxes out OG Anunoby or Scotty Barnes there, the Knicks get the rebound and they presumably get fouled and they have a chance to go up 3, and it's maybe a different ball game. Yeah, that's why I say, like, I'd love to sit here and give all the praise in the world to RJ, but like, these are the little plays that they win and lose games. I'm not saying he's the only one that's making them either. Go through the tape, you could find stuff for Randle, find stuff for Brunson, but in like the little things category, it feels like RJ really does need to clean up. And they're not little things. That's the thing. They're little things because they don't go on the stat sheet, right? But they count as much or more. Anyway, sorry to go on that little diatribe. Drew P, what's going on, Drew? I get JB's clutch numbers, but it's a trend now. I mean, what's a trend? What's a trend? He missed a free throw? Okay. You want to say in certain spots late in games, doesn't have the ice water running through his veins on free throws? I don't even know that we could say that. Like, the dude hit 4 absolutely monster clutch free throws. What was it? 2 nights ago? Or no, 4 nights ago against the Wizards. Even if you want to boil that number down to 2, like he needed to hit both there. Otherwise, that's maybe a different game. And there's other games where he's hit big free throws late. Like, I understand it's not perfect, but with this stuff, especially with free throws, you're always going to remember the misses more than you remember the makes, because you're supposed to hit the makes. You're supposed to hit them. You know, you want to tell me the missed 3 at the end? Like, I don't know. I can't go there. He didn't have a great shooting game, you know, and even so, that's a tough shot. It's the best shot you're going to get at the moment, but it's a tough shot. Busy, what's going on, Busy? Not saying this would have worked, but if Toronto was getting their entire offense from Barnes double teams, why didn't they try switching Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson's assignments? Yeah, I mean, again, hindsight's 2020. They lost. A lot of their offense was generated from that. Scotty Barnes' final number is 26 points and 4 assists on 16 shots. That has to be one of his best games of the year because he's had not very good games. That's fair. That's fair. Anthony Sixto, Randle single-handedly willed us back into it in the last 40 seconds. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, it wasn't his best game, but like the dude, he just doesn't give up. And that goes so far when you're talking about the character of a team and you're talking about a team's ability to withstand tough losses, you know? And yes, this was a tough loss, but you love the fight and you love the effort, and he really does leave it all out there. Say what you want about him. God knows he's such an imperfect player. But he leaves it all out there, and that's all you could possibly want. And that's what we got frustrated about last year. You felt like he wasn't leaving it all out there. Sorry, go back to Anthony's for a sec because he had another point there. Mad we didn't take a time out on the last rebound. I love the fight today regardless. Look, again, they missed the shot, so it's fair. I thought it was a good look. I don't know if you're getting a better look than that, especially against that team. And by the way, I'm assuming they had a timeout. I don't know that for sure. But even if they did, I'm going to say I'm actually happy they didn't take it because that team, if you allow that team to get set, and I wouldn't have wanted to go. I don't mind going for the three. I don't. They were freaking tired. Thanks, Anthony. They did have a timeout. Thank you, Andrew. Ja, so focused. What's going on, Ja? All I'll say is everyone is culpable for this loss. Yeah. I mean, but like I hate putting it that way. I don't want to jump on you because this is what we do, right? This is what I do. It's what you do. It's what we all do. Like, who is this loss on? Who is at fault for this loss? People did not have their best games, in several respects. Players, the coach, the whole thing. But I think I don't want to go on like a whole diatribe, but like the Raptors won this game, like the Knicks could have played better. The Knicks left some things out on the court. And I feel like I'm jumping on you, which I shouldn't do because this is just the instinct that we have as fans is to be like, why did we lose? Who was at fault for why we lost? But there was another way to look at it where it's like, shit, man. Imagine if we had made those couple of plays, that would have been great because boy, did they do so many things great. And was there so many good signs? And like, I don't know. I look at it like you and I'm like lecturing you, which who the fuck am I? But like, I'm trying to be the change I want to see in the world. There you go. Anyway, Randle and Brunson again missed free throws. Terrible start for RJ. Bad process from Randle after the first. Yeah, it's fair. It was far from a perfect game. Benji gave his grades, and nobody got an A or an A minus, which I think was fitting. So thanks, Job. Carolina Knicks fan. I hate the Raptors. We're done playing them, man. Don't they? I think they play them. No, they have to play them once more because they're in the division.
They play them next Sunday.
There you go. In Toronto.
Yes.
Which the road team has won all 3 games this year.
Mm-hmm. So there you go.
We'll see. Thanks, Andrew. And thanks, Carolina Knicks fan. Hush Zoo. Fred VanVleet gets the award for Knicks Killer of the Year. Like, his numbers this year are not good. They're not awful, given the difficulty of his shots and the amount of shots he takes and the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shots, that's the other thing. Like, the reason, a massive part of the reason that this team is whatever they are, not a great record. They're 20-24. A massive reason why they're 20-24 is subpar seasons from 2 guys. And 3 guys. Because OG hasn't had a great shooting season. VanVleet has had an abysmal season shooting the ball. Scotty Barnes, in the eyes of a lot of Raptors fans and people who watch the Raptors regularly, has regressed. And OG Anunoby, I don't know what OG Anunoby is shooting on the year, but I'm fairly certain he is not shooting wonderfully. OG this year is shooting, 36.5% from 3, 46.5% overall. So he's been a 40% shooter from downtown, I feel like, the last couple of years. So he's, came back a little bit, but it's mostly VanVleet and Barnes, right? If VanVleet and Barnes this year are the guys that they were last year, and Barnes, you figure a little step up because it's his second season, and VanVleet, I know he fell off a little bit after the All-Star break, but the guy was a freaking All-Star last year. They wouldn't be 20-24. They'd be 24-20, if not better. And guess who showed up tonight? And it's like, is that something the Knicks did? I don't know. I don't think there's anything the Knicks did or didn't do on Fred VanVleet, which is like, oh, that's why VanVleet went off tonight. I just think he freaking probably is a guy who loves playing in Madison Square Garden and probably likes playing the Knicks. Who the hell knows why? And Barnes, if you want to pin Barnes on the matchup thing, that's fair. That's fair. Although, again, he has not been good this year, including against the Knicks. Thanks, Hush. Mifflins. What's going on, Mifflins? As always, stuff to critique, but It feels good watching fun Knicks basketball. Remember where we were last year as far as the general outlook. Hashtag let's go Knicks. Yeah. Well said. I don't have anything to add. That's a really good comment. That's it's the energy that I wish I had more of. But man, it's so freaking hard to sit here and not be disappointed in that. It's right there. It's right freaking there for him. This game and the damn Bucks game. Josso focused with another one. With that said, I'm glad we fought back. There you go. I love the energy. Raps earned it. Sheldon Gomes, is it so much to ask for a home court whistle? Apparently. Jesus Christ. Yeah. The refereeing was certainly one of the 5 worst officiated games of the year. Without question. Full stop. Hush Zoo with another one. Everyone had their own impact. Can't be mad at anyone. Agreed. Funny enough, I'm most confident in RJ taking any clutch free throw moving forward. He seems most poised. That's not crazy at all. Him or quickly. And like, yeah, like, say this about RJ. His clutch numbers are bad this year, but it's also not on a ton of volume. So like, I don't want to put too much in the fact that he's like, I don't know what he is in clutch situations. He hasn't shot it a lot. You know, RJ or Brunson has taken most of those shots. He was very good in clutch situations last year, RJ Barrett. He is a guy who undoubtedly, without question, it plays better as the game goes on. And he does, like, the big moment doesn't seem to faze him. Say that about him, you know, and that's a quality. There are things I don't say on here that I say off air that if people knew, like, wow, you really don't like RJ Barrett. I'm just putting it out there. Because his poor play frustrates me to no end. One of the top 3 in terms of Knicks I've ever watched were the things when he does poorly, or the mistakes that he makes. I just for whatever reason, it gets under my skin. I'm admitting it. I don't have an explanation for it. Again, why do I hate RJ Barrett? I don't think that's what it is. I like him, but his poor play does frustrate me. But like, man, he does come up big in the big moment, and you love that about the kid, really. And he's still a kid. He's 22 years old. So, Frank Sound, what's going on, Frank? Great game. Thanks to both teams. Let's go Knicks. Wonderful comment. Leave that right where it is, because I have nothing to add. Dom Cappuccini, thank you so much, Dom, for the contribution. Most frustrating aspect wasn't the final score, or the effort, but that now we are 11-12 at home. Thankfully, my daughter cheered me up with the "Go New York" chant in the ensuing commercial. I love that. That's great. That's good. Good job raising your daughter. And hey, like, yes, they lost the home game. They're under 500 at home. In theory, we should be praising their road record as much as we critique their home record. And it is correct to critique their home record. That is real. That is a thing. But the road record is on the flip side is very good. And like, they're 25-20, you know, and like, that's the thing. I wrote about this today. And Jeremy had the great line, like, what is happiness? It's the moment when you want more happiness. They're frustrating because of games like this and because of the moments that lead to losses in games like this. But to zoom out and just look at how, like, they always compete. They always compete. They always make it a game. Always make it a game. You know, even in losses. You know, that, like, they're a good team. They're a team. They're a team that's easy to be frustrated by, but also incredibly easy to be proud of, which I think is a good dichotomy. Thank you, Dom. Appreciate that. Robert Cross, what's going on, Robert? It's your boy, John. Is it fair and reasonable to say, so farts, that Tibbs is grinding 5+ IQ to a pulp. If so, do we need to make a trade before the deadline? Yeah, he's grinding them to a pulp. Yeah. If you listen to Tibbs, he'll tell you that this is why your conditioning has to be excellent. This is why you prepare from training camp. This is why you do all the things that you do. That's what Tibbs would tell you. Is there any way to prepare yourself for this kind of grind? I don't know. At the same time, it's like they have 6 guys that you can rely upon right now. And I don't want to turn this into a discussion about what Deuce isn't doing and what Hartenstein isn't doing. God knows I don't need to do that. That's been said on here many times. Or honestly, frankly, what Obi isn't doing. Like Obi, it's funny. A few people I was texting with and emailing with before and doing in the comments for the newsletter before the game, with a refrain now of what's going on with Obi. We have to own this. We're not using him right, and this and that. And I'm like, and that's very fair. It's very fair. But at some point, it's on the player a little bit too. And where Obi sees the ball, he gets the ball, and with opportunities to do something with the ball. At some point, you kind of Grimes. Quentin Grimes hasn't had a run for him in his NBA career. That dude's doing shit left and right. Now, I understand he's a different type of player than Obi Toppin, but Obi Toppin, was out there on the 3-point arc tonight in the second half. Ran off the line, put the ball on the floor, got to 16 feet away from the hoop, and stopped. And pulled up. Didn't have a counter. Paused for a sec. He's like, oh, wait, what am I supposed to do? Should I shoot this? Should I try to, keep going? Should I pass? It's things like that where it's well, yeah, sure. It'd be great if he was the center in spread pick and roll and he got to, rim run and the whole thing. Even that, it's do we have any evidence that he's great at that? I know he was great at that in college. This isn't college. I am going to be a little critical here because, yeah, he's grinding these guys into the ground, but the Knicks this season are tasked with winning games. That is what the assignment is from the owner. So, if certain players are not giving them as good a chance to do that, and the coach is going with the guys who is, but yeah, long and the short of it, Robert, they're going to make a trade. They're going to make a trade. I bet a goodly sum of money on it. Andrew, how can we get more out of Obi? I swear on everything that is good and holy on my children. I did not know that was the next comment coming up. At some point, again, the player has to be a little bit responsible for trying to get more out of himself. I don't know. Again, there's an obvious answer. There's an obvious answer, which is spread pick and roll. Spread pick and roll. He's setting the screens at the top of the key. Try to get some rim runs out of him. That's it. That's the thing. What are you sacrificing there, though? In terms of on defense, is that going to be a terribly efficient play? I mean, you could say, who knows? We never see it, and that's fair. That's fair. But there's practice too. I don't want to sound like Tibbs, but there is practice. They do see things in practice. Haitian Ferg. RJ got fouled on the game-winning dunk. I saw that. I saw the replay. I'm like, man. I get it. They're not going to call the foul there because, the dunker kind of initiates the contact. But, man, there was a lot of fucking contact. A lot of contact. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, good, thank you for saying that. I had the same thought. Poor decision-making by Brunson in the fourth. Completely agree. Missed free throws, yes. Poorly officiated game overall from start to finish, yes. Crazy how the Raptors make us look so short, yes. Haitian, it's you'd think that you were my burner, except so I'm going to start showing my hands during these post games to know that I'm not typing as Haitian Ferg on a different computer. Yeah, no, you nailed it. It's And the making us look so short part, I will say, I texted Benji earlier tonight and during the game, and I think it was maybe after the first half, and I was like, or maybe early in the third quarter, and I was like, is it just me or is Mitchell Robinson playing kind of small today? And like, yes, everybody on the Raptors is 6'7" or 6'8" or 6'9", except for Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent Jr., but they play a lot of big guys. Okay, I get it. But Mitchell Robinson, you're still whatever he is, 7'1". You still jump higher and have, like, when you jump and you extend your arms, you still reach higher than pretty much anyone in the league. I need you to get more than 18 rebounds tonight, buddy. I need you to get more than 5 offensive rebounds. I need you to get more than shit. I need you, Mitchell Robinson, to get more than 3 defensive rebounds. I'm not saying they don't scheme for other guys to get the defensive boards, and God knows I have come on here and said multiple times in the past, do not judge Mitchell Robinson as a defensive rebounder by how many defensive rebounds he ends up with. But tonight, get more than 3 defensive rebounds. But there are other guys who mix box outs too. Jasso focused with another one. Thank you again for this and all of your generous contributions in these post games. As bad as RJ was in the first half, really first quarter, he was that good in the second half. No overtime without him, and maybe win in regulation if he sees the ball more. Yeah, could have absolutely run the offense more through him down the stretch. I want to go back to those plays midway through the fourth where they had the turnovers and it was just stagnant, blah, shitty, crappy, blah offense. You know, and that's, you know, and that's I don't know if this is a bridge too far, but like, I think those are part of the challenges that come with growing and learning each other as a team, and you're always evolving, and the Knicks have 2 guys who are very clearly in the All-Star conversation. One of them's, I'm pretty sure one of them is going to make it. Would not be shocked if both did. This win would have gone a long way to both of them making it. And like, that's, I feel like that's just part of the NBA DNA. It's like, if you have guys who are, you know, that play that role for you, right? Where they're clearly like, they're your guys, you know, how long does it take you to evolve enough as a team where, like, in the game, within the game, you're like, well, wait a minute, these guys don't have it going, let's switch. Maybe it's easier than I'm making it out to be, and maybe it should be incredibly easier, but like, I don't know. That's when you made this comment, that's what came to my mind, so I just wanted to say it. I don't know if there's any validity to what I just said, but yeah, it's a great comment. It's a great comment for sure. Bernard Richardson, what's going on, Bernard? Box score looks like Nurse and Tibbs thought this was a playoff game with how they distributed minutes. Heartbreaker, but the fight has never left this team. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And there are 2 teams fighting to make the playoffs. You know, I don't have a huge issue with it, and you do love the fight for sure. Hamdi, I saw your texts, Andrew. Thank you. Hamdi, I'm starting to dislike this Toronto team. You're starting to. I freaking hate this Toronto team because they play us so well. They play us so freaking well. I respect them a lot. I respect them because they are tough, and they are not a great team. They may not even be a really good team, but they don't give in, man. They don't give in. Just saying, hashtag Butterfingers Mitch. Yeah. Hashtag Obi needs some toughness. Can I just, I've talked about Obi on Mitch. I piled on Mitch a minute ago, and I'm going to do it again. Mitch's offensive rebounding and Mitch's rim protection is absolutely vital to this team. The numbers with him on the court and the numbers since he came back into the starting lineup with Quentin Grimes are not good. They're maybe not even great. They're outstanding. The on-off, the offensive improvement, the defensive improvement, everything. He's a massive part of that. He's been excellent on defense this year. There's no 2 ways about it. He might be the best offensive rebounder in the sport. He's still a great lob threat. I just wonder, especially in games like this, that if you had a center that can give you the rim protection that this team does need and the offensive rebounding that this team does need, because they've kind of designed their offense in part around that offensive rebounding. If you had those two things and it was a guy that could just like, my daughter's very excited about what I'm about to say. And you had a guy that could just like catch the ball reliably and you feel good about what's going to happen after he catches the ball like 3 or 4 feet from the basket. Or God forbid, 7 or 8 feet from the basket, if there's like an outlet pass to be made or like or someone's cutting or something, like it's a component to their offense that they just don't have. And you watch the games and they don't have it, which is why I don't want to open up a whole can of worms, which is why I wrote a section in today's newsletter about a guy who just gave an interview about how in which he gushed over New York and has all kinds of regrets about his time in New York. And oh my God, if there was ever a moment where it looked like a guy was trying to make his pitch, like, hey guys, bring me back into the fold, it was this. It's just, yeah, something to store away. That's all. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Congrats on your spot with Jake. Proud of you. Thank you. Good time for Andrew to hop in. Yeah, you should have seen. I hope he's not watching this. My face when I got the message from him. I felt like, because I knew it was going to entail me reaching out to you and being like, I got to ditch the post game early, probably to do this, and it felt like I had like this hot ex-girlfriend who, I like had things ended. And then I met this wonderful, caring, amazing human being who was like everything I wanted and more. And I could have zero complaints. And then the hot ex texts me one night like, hey, so what are you doing? That's what it felt like.
Okay. That's what it felt like. Well,
it is very clear to me every time I try to make these analogies that me and you have led extraordinarily
very different lives. Yes, very much so. Yes, I have no experience with anything you just said, but for whatever reason that you're happy about going on a podcast with Jake Fisher, we're happy for you. And this is like a collective moment for KFS, but one that you've earned, and
we've earned. All of us, anybody watching here.
Thank you for bringing someone else up onto the winner's circle with you. But I listen, Jake messaged you, not us. So you're gonna go there and it'll be awesome. We're gonna do a stats update before you go, if that's all right.
Sure.
I have bad news.
They're out of the top 10. Let me guess. They're not out of the top 10 in net rating.
No. They're ninth. They're tied with Sacramento for 8th.
Yeah. So. Okay. They're probably, where were they closer to being at a 10th, offense or defense? I actually forget. I'm drawing a blank.
So they're up to 8th in offense, tied with New Orleans and 0.2 behind Dallas for 6th in offense incredible. This season.
That's incredible.
Yes. And then in defense, they're now 11th. So 8th in offense, 11th in defense, and 9th in net rating.
It is incredible how good their offense has been.
Yeah. Even on like a bad game like today, but like with the pace being what it was, to still get, the points that you did.
The thing I don't think I pay enough attention, all of us pay enough attention to, like, there are frustrating moments on offense with the Knicks, like where they do bog down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like we saw tonight, and it may have cost them the game, and that sucks, and it's very annoying. And then you have the moments where it's like, oh my God, RJ, like you're right there. You're right there. Just put the ball in the hole. Hartenstein has given us some of those, the whole thing. When do the Knicks take bad shots anymore?
Oh, they take several in the fourth quarter. When it stagnates and some of them go in, they're tough shots. But
no, hold on. Can I push back on that?
Go ahead.
There was one atrocious one, the possession that was bogged down to nothing, and RJ got his 3 blocked by Siakam. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know that we could call like tough Brunson mid-rangers, or even honestly tough Randle mid-rangers bad shots with how efficient they are. Like, if that's you've run the possession doesn't have great movement, right? And it results in Randle going one-on-one or Brunson going one-on-one and putting up a look that's like not a great percentage shot, obviously. But based on their overall numbers this year, it's not like we know what it is to see just terrible shots repeatedly throughout an NBA game. From that perspective, and with that as like the bar, maybe it's because it's the low bar, but it's not the low bar because they're 0.2 points away from being sixth in the league in fucking offense.
It is impossible to look at the shot chart that they have for the season and not see a collective effort that, because they don't have a quote unquote superstar, but they do have talented players, that they're not trying to create the best looks and best places where shots are taken.
And sixth in offense, and they are, I mean, I don't think, are they 30th still in 3-point percentage? They're probably up to 25th.
Closer to the bottom. You're right. I can pull that up in just a second. They are.
Pull it up, and I'll say one more stat, the one that I brought up in our Discord chat the other day. Guess which team takes more open shots per game than any team in the league?
Yeah.
The Knicks. Yeah. Now there's a difference between open shots and wide open shots, and they're more towards the bottom half of the league. I think they're in the low teens in wide open shots. Their offense doesn't generate those, and that is a valid critique. But in terms of just open shots, where defender is 4 to 6 feet away, shots that you should be able to clean up on, they take more of them than anybody in basketball. What are they in 3-point percentage?
25th.
Yeah. So, and to be neck and neck for sixth in offense.
Before you go, can I
push back some of it?
Just be the one on behalf of the masses to say you're a little hard on RJ.
I said I was hard on RJ.
Yeah, but unnecessarily. They did nothing going from Brunson or from Randle in overtime and even late in the fourth quarter. And RJ, time after time, stepped up. Now, if you want to say the offensive boards, or honestly the defensive boards were bad, he just was not boxing out in the fourth quarter, and that killed me. But that comes with the fact that Scotty Barnes is bigger, which is why I thought the switch of Randle onto Barnes was necessary, that he's the one killing you on the boards. You should put a bigger body on him. 10 of 11 of the free throw line, 7 for 7 in the second half.
But then OG ain't small.
All right, but Obi was wow, Freudian. OG was playing the perimeter. Like, they were running it through Barnes, and it was like all of OG's shots on his shot chart are like a couple layups on some transition and then 3-pointers.
I understand that. No, it's fair. It's fair. I'll leave it at that. It's a fair critique.
His stuff bothers me too. It frustrates me too. Like, I think that the fair take is like his bad is really frustratingly bad. I thought he cleaned it up really well in the second half.
I'm not disagreeing with that in the slightest. 100%. He was the best. He is the best player of the game for the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
And that is even with the first half. And as was pointed out, I think by Ja before, mostly it was really the first quarter that was particularly bad.
Yeah.
What the frustrating part of it, I want to really try to be very specific about this, is the reason why we as Knicks fans consistently fall in love with either outright, I'm just going to say it, bad players like Frank Ntilikina, or players who are not stars, but we love, like Quentin Grimes and Emmanuel Quickley, is because they do all of the little things. They pay attention to every little nook and cranny. And for me, the bad with RJ, I see it almost exclusively as that's just a lack of attention to detail. Now, obviously, it's me, Joe Schmo, sitting and watching the fucking game on his couch, can sit here and talk about lack of attention to detail. Playing the game is very different. And as I always talk about when people try to criticize Tibbs, and I say, well, there's two teams on the court, and the other team has a coach too, and the whole thing. Well, there's another team out there who's trying to get you to forget about the little things and doing things to make it look like you are not paying attention to the little things, because you're probably paying attention to 3 other or 5 other things. So I really do want to try to add context to the arrive at the ultimate conclusion, which is that this is a me thing. This is how I view the game. This is how I see it. I just want to be very clear about that.
Okay. I'll let Jake know. By the way, we'll change the intro to Joe Schmo of Knicks Film School, and not Jonathan Macri. And I just want to second you and everybody. The officiating today.
Ah,
Tibbs, I
terrible.
texted you to read Bagley's quote. Tibbs said like I didn't know what a foul was and wasn't. And when Tibbs is
Yeah,
going to the podium with
yeah,
criticism for the officials, then you
yep,
know it was bad.
yep,
You
yep,
know.
yep, 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 yep.
And I'll let you go on this. I also thought RJ got fouled on that dunk, which is why, and I can't even say like he initiated the contact. Like you, that is normally what happens when he initiates the contact. They're not going to call that, which would be fine if I didn't see every Raptor initiate contact. The one that got challenged in overtime, Van Vliet lowers his shoulder. Scotty Barnes hip checks
It was
Jalen Brunson into
atrocious.
into Van Vliet, and the challenge is unsuccessful. So
The
yeah.
last thing I'm gonna go, like, I wish I was better about being like, there's no need to get so upset about this game. All of the reasons, the refereeing, the effort, the fact that it's a terrible matchup for them, the fact that none of their best players had great games, like all of the things. But I think this is still, for me at least, the PTSD where you're like, even in this season where I wrote it today, this team is good. The numbers say they're good. There's no denying they are good. You always are like, oh man, is this going to be the thing that starts the ball rolling in the other direction and stuff? So that's why I'm just really bummed. Even though, as many have said, there's no reason to get crazy about this one.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. All right, Andrew. Thank you, my friend, and
Toodles.
to everybody watching. Let me just say my early goodbye. Oh, sorry. Very last thing. I promise I'll make this 30 seconds or less. Happy Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day to everyone. I wanted to start off by saying something about this. I feel awful that this is an hour into the pod. But I do want to say this. There are times it feels like, because we may not have an active, like George Floyd just happened, or some such event just happened, where we can collectively as a society, get comfortable, right, and be like, oh yeah, things are fine, everything's good, we're doing good here. We're never doing good enough. And for me, this day is always the day to just remember, like, we just have so much further to go. And I've done this before, and I'll do it again because I think it's appropriate. I am someone that has fucked up every which way in my life, and I've gotten second chance after second chance and after second chance. And why is that? Because I'm a white man, and the reality is that it's still not a level playing field, and people of color, and specifically Black people, just there's still the society where it still sees people differently based on their skin color. And I don't know what it's going to take to change that, but I feel like at least talking about it and continuing the dialogue is the most important thing. Acknowledging, like, hey, shit's not fair. And sometimes that manifests itself in some ways, and sometimes it manifests itself in other ways. But on this day, I just want to, acknowledge Dr. King, most important person this country's had. I don't know how many years. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That was a jumbled mess, but just wanted to get my point across.
Yeah, more than 30 seconds, but extremely well worth as long as it took. Well said, John.
Sorry. Yeah.
You're good.
All right. Later, everybody.
Toodles. Okay. Alfred is back. Time to take you the rest of the way. Thank you, everybody, to over 400 people watching live in the chat. Let's talk more about this game. Let's get through the rest of the super chats, and then we'll get out of here. Juanon, Lucas Scars haunting us still. We really need to hit free throws in the clutch. Why can't we? Mental toughness, yips. Genuinely curious because I don't view our boys, minus an obvious one, as soft. I wonder who you might be talking about. So I think John actually hit how I feel about this. We remember the misses way more than the makes. So Jalen Brunson, I forget who said it, that this is becoming a trend, but as much as like he has, like, we do remember the misses, right? We missed the miss against the Bucks the first game, the two misses against the Bulls, which would have 13-5 still in play if he had made them both. And then obviously the one missed today. Yet, as recently as Friday night, 4 clutch free throws on the road while the team is collapsing again against Washington. There are several other occasions where he's missed free throws. Like we talk about Julius's missed free throws a lot this year. Yet there are 6 clutch free throws on the road after the Knicks had come back in Indiana. And we don't remember those because you're supposed to make free throws. They're free, right? So I do think that it's way much more of a we remember the misses way more than the makes. I'll give you a classic example. Kawhi Leonard is known as being like a 90% free throw shooter in the playoffs. One of the most clutch free throw shooters in NBA history when it comes to playoffs. Yet, if I say Kawhi Leonard free throw, what do a lot of people think of? The one he missed in Game 6 of the NBA Finals in 2013. We remember the misses. You know, LeBron James, one of the most inaccurate free throw shooters for someone of his volume ever. He's missed a ton of big free throws down the stretch, right? Yet there's one big free throw that he made in Game 7 in 2016, and that's all we remember. We don't remember he missed the first one. He was the second missed free throw away from giving one of the greatest teams ever a chance to tie the game at home. And what would be remembered? He would be that LeBron missed 2 free throws, giving Golden State a chance to come back. It's honestly a back and forth with what we remember as far as the free throws are concerned. In fact, Dirty Dancer in the chat, man, Giannis, we spent entire playoffs talking about how bad he was at free throw shooting. And yet in the last game, Game 6 against Phoenix, 19 of 20. And it's like, we remember, that's the one we actually remember the ones he made because it was Giannis, right? I really do think it's just the memory that we have because the misses hurt more, you know, especially in situations like this where the margins are so small. But I agree. I don't think this team is soft. I don't think this team loses fight down the stretch. And even like I'm guessing that the soft one down the stretch is Randle. And I think he actually plays tougher. I just think he has like the worst body language of anybody that I've ever seen on the Knicks ever. And we judge that rather than how tough he actually is. But thank you, Juanon, for your comment. Next up, Guy Hooper then. Thank you for the contribution. Without fail, Van Vliet turns into prime Curry. This team is a bad enough matchup without the refs being complete morons out there. I'll just echo Tibbs. Like, I had no idea what was a foul and what wasn't. I was seeing the exact same contact, even on like the Knicks same amount of contact. Like they wouldn't get a call on one possession, then the very next possession, the same thing, same contact happens. Now, I will say, I did think they were chirping with the refs a little too much. The replay is your friend sometimes when you react in the moment to really you're going to call that, and then you see the replay. Oh, okay, that was a foul. But it was so inconsistent today, which is the problem. And it's tough that even when you do think it's allowed to be a physical game, then guys are going to be a little more physical, and then it's a foul called. So I agree. Very inconsistent game for the officials. Josh, so focused. Thank you once again for the another super chat. My last one. People saying RJ fouled on dunk. Ref's not going to call that at the end of regulation, guys. Let it go. No, I will not let it go. They should have called it. LeBron gets that call. Ja Morant gets that call. Ja. Okay. You're probably right. They're never going to call that. It's in part of the larger narrative of how bad the referees were that an obvious foul that RJ literally had to dunk it in order for it to go in. Cause if he had tried to lay it up, with the contact that was there, he wasn't going to get a call. So, you're not wrong. They weren't going to call that. I'm annoyed that they were never going to call that. Thanks, Ja. TJ Akai. Thank you for the contribution. Regarding Tibbs' rotation and minutes allocation, the free throw shooting and fact that we have the worst winning percentage versus teams above 500 of any other teams in the East playoff teams, correlation or causation? Do we have the worst winning percentage against teams? Let me go to just quick standings check. Gonna stall a little bit so you guys can hear this. So the Knicks are 25-20. Versus teams over 500, they are 8-13. Versus teams below 500, they are 17-7. So you're saying of the, you know what? That's fair. No other team has less than 9 wins. The Miami Heat are 9-11. The Pacers are 11-15. One thing I'll say, Brooklyn's only 12-11. So it's not like they've been world beaters. Yeah, I think the correlation and causation you're looking at, that the rotations and minutes allocation, I would look across the court tonight and like getting to talk to Catherine Niker of Raptors Republic. Shout out to the shameless plug of the pregame pod. Raptors fans have been frustrated with Nick Nurse this season. I know that could seem crazy to Knicks fans who are always looking at the grass being greener on the other side. They don't like the club 6'9", that everybody they don't have a real center and don't have, it's all of the switching and don't have dependable bench players. That he doesn't trust dependable bench players. You think Malachi Flynn, you think Deuce McBride is not playing enough? Malachi Flynn played half his minutes today. I think Emmanuel Quickly should have played more than 21. That's the smoke I have for Tibbs today. There's just like no world where Emmanuel Quickly plays less than 25 minutes in that should exist, like especially in a game you're allegedly trying to win. And those 4 minutes matter, especially in a game where the margins are so close like this. And yet I look across and the Raptors, all 5 of their starters here, to be exact, Fred VanVleet, 44 minutes, Gary Trent, 41 minutes, Siakam, 46 minutes, Scotty Barnes, 44 minutes, 49 seconds. The only starter that didn't play 40 minutes was OG Anunoby, who played 39 minutes and 45 seconds. Let's round up. So he had 5 guys play 40 minutes. When you don't have a lot of dependable players and you're trying to win games, it's tough. I would love, like, if the Knicks last year were out of it, which this unfortunately still goes back to last year, we probably should have been playing Deuce down the stretch and getting all of his rookie mistakes out of the way so he'd be ready to play now. That is a very fair criticism. Having said that, it's not what happened, and we have to deal with what is right now. And what is right now is they have 6.5 dependable players right now. I'll put with the contributions you're getting out of Obi, Hartenstein, and Deuce, and give it like a full half a player, especially offensively. And unfortunately, it's why the minutes are what they are, and it's why I now turn my attention to the front office, that whether it's Caruso, whether it's Eric Gordon, whoever it is, they cannot tell me that they want to make a respectable playoff appearance this year and have this be the collection of players that we're going to see. So thank you, TJ. Greg Film Stuff. If Evan, Cam, and Sims, here we go. Evan, Cam, and Sims are DMPs. We need trades for this bench in. We need trades for this bench in the because. I'll try to reread this. Hold on. If Evan, Cam, and Sims are DMPs, we need trades for this bench because what was a strength last season is now non-existent because besides IQ. If there was a shooting center you could replace Mitch with, not Jokic, who would it be? Ooh. I'm not. Oh, the real answer of who I would replace Mitch with is Obi Toppin. I would experiment more with Obi at the 5 and play more in transition. Unfortunately, I'm resigned to the fact that they're not going to do that. I'm also like what's going on with the Raptors is cute, but like they're not a team. Like, again, Raptors fans don't like that they don't have a real center on the team that you can trust. Like the Vucevic is out there. I don't want his rim protection. I don't like, he's a stretch 5. I don't think I would want that. And look, as far as Evan, Cam, and Sims are concerned, I think the fewer and fewer Deuce McBride minutes that are happening, like he didn't play in the second half, I think we're getting closer and closer to a conversation about Evan Fournier coming back into the rotation. I've been on the record, I think, that I would have had the hard conversation about Sims for Hartenstein already. Look, as far as Cam is concerned, I think I would have given Cam, like, I think when the rotation change has happened in the first place, I was like, I would have given Cam first run at this, but I understand, like, Deuce being the ninth guy, we'll see what happens. And they won 8 in a row. I am, until proven otherwise, convinced. I have to believe it because it's the only thing that makes sense. If it's just a coach's decision, it's a bad coach decision. Cam was helpful at many points this year. That one bad game shouldn't hurt him from a second chance. But I am convinced that there is something above Tibbs' pay grade that has been agreed to by coach, player, front office, agent, that I don't want my player getting hurt. Bench him until you trade him or release him or whatever it is. I don't think he has a ton of value. It's probably like a top 59 protected pick in the second round, but I'm just convinced it's above his pay grade. And he hasn't, to his credit, caused any problems. He's answered a couple questions from reporters, but he's not, becoming a nuisance in the locker room, to his credit. So, at the moment, I think he's just enjoying the best gig in the world, and it's getting paid to watch courtside Knicks games. Unfortunately for him, because I do think he was showing some promise earlier this year, and it just didn't work out. Again, I would have given him a second chance by now. There's like 95% of stuff that we don't see behind the scenes that is what I'm convinced happened. And if it hasn't, then again, it's a bad decision. Thank you, Greg's Film Stuff. Always good with your contributions. Kevin Danishevsky. Mitch has honestly been frustrating for about a week. Yeah, he hasn't played as big as you'd need him to be. I will say he is still a monster on the offensive glass, even in like a game where we're all complaining about him. He still has 5 offensive rebounds, which I look at, if you get 5 extra possessions from your center that isn't like asked to do much on offense, then it's a gift. I think the Raptors also got a ton of extra possessions. They got 6 offensive rebounds from Scotty Barnes, which will always kill you. Which again goes to the switching Randle onto Barnes switch, which people have mentioned. So yeah, hopefully Mitch cleans it up. Hopefully this is also just a tough matchup for him. There's no center to guard, so he's, but thankfully Siakam didn't go, Giannis mode this game. 0 of 7 for 3 for Siakam. But yeah, Mitch has to play better. Hopefully he does in the future. Eric Fernandez. This loss is mostly on Brunson, in my opinion. Played selfishly, especially down the stretch. 11 for 29 and too much ISO. So it's funny. I agree to a point with this. I can't blame the whole loss on Brunson. It's makes sense to blame a guy that was 11 for 29, like 23 points on 29, 23 points on 29 shots. What did Brunson finish with? 26 points on 29 shots. I don't mean to discount those 3 points. So I'm not someone that, like John hinted, that he doesn't take bad shots, and I'm not someone that's going to say that all 29 of his shots were good. He's made enough tough shots to get the benefit of the doubt every time he takes a shot, so I do agree that point. This team is such a bad matchup for him. Any team with length, which is why I worry about the specific matchup the Knicks are going to have to face come playoff time. And if it's a team with length that will take Jalen Brunson out, then we're back to, can Julius Randle take us to the second round? Or are we back to like I don't really want to play Milwaukee in the first round. I know we've played them close all season, but if they get Middleton back and we got to deal with those Twin Towers down low, I just, that's the last thing I want to see. Yeah, I think this is just a tough matchup for Brunson, and I thought this is why that portion of the fourth quarter got so frustrating. The blah of the offense being your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, which we've been frustrated in crunch time all season. It just doesn't work, which is why I thought they could have featured RJ more. I thought they could have featured, like, Quentin Grimes took 5 shots today. That's just not something that should happen. He should be taking at minimum 5 threes a game. quickly has been great for you the last month. He took 7 shots today. So yeah, just other looks from other players. You could have depended on your third, fourth, and fifth best players today. And if that's on Brunson, it's on Brunson. It's on the offensive scheme. Tom Thibodeau. They can be on Tibbs, but it's also Jalen Brunson is the reigning player of the week. We haven't said that yet. He was announced during the game to be the reigning Eastern Conference player of the week because of how well he has played and how good he's been with tough shots. So I can at least understand if in his brain these shots are going to start falling. I know I'm getting some bad luck. I'm not getting any whistles that I normally get. Jalen Brunson only taking 4 free throws today is also a knock on the ref. So long answer to say that I think for this loss to be on Brunson is a little tough, but he did not play well today. Thank you, Eric, for the contribution. Dom Cappuccini again, 8 minutes left. I told myself this is where they finally pull away enough to win. Maybe by 5, but still. We are still searching for that late game confidence. Big difference between now and we here. Man, this is where Derrick Rose came in. He was that calming presence down the stretch, those final 20 games when they went 16-4. And that's the one thing that they're missing is that calming presence. Jalen Brunson's been great to an extent, but now they're playing 9 men that are 28 years and younger. So, the hope, if you want to use the football as an analogy, the Giants have played all these close football games all during the regular season. Some were wins. Well, actually, most of them were wins. And it came in handy when they had a playoff game yesterday. And they knew how to win a close game, tied with 7 minutes left. They knew exactly what they had to do to win this game. Hopefully the Knicks know exactly what not to do in some of these losses, and it can lead to some wins in some close games later on in the season. Thank you, Dom. Josso focused again. Last one. Wasn't happy with Randle's rebound positioning. I'm actually not sure what you mean. Randle had 15 rebounds today. Actually at 21, 15, and 8, despite shooting poorly today. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the tape, rewatch the game. This might actually be more of a Benji questioning if his defensive rebound positioning wasn't great, or even if you're saying the offensive positioning wasn't great. But I didn't see it. Not going to say you're wrong. This is worth a second look. Thank you, Ja. Greg B. Don't know why Knicks help so much in the paint when guarding corner threes. They have one of the best shot blockers in the NBA in Mitchell Robinson. So it's funny. The guy I saw helping so much in the paint was Mitchell Robinson on the Scotty Barnes back downs of RJ. I kept seeing Mitch helping down low, and then Barnes would kick to the corner. And whether it be to OG Anunoby for a wide open 3, it would be to someone on the wing who would make the extra pass, and that was killing them all game. This again goes back to I would have also liked to see a different look on Scotty Barnes down the stretch, even just in the second half. So we'll see. Thank you, Greg B. Not discounting it at all. Busy. What up, Busy? I feel like losing like this. I feel better losing like this than giving up big leads. The team has to be locked in the entire time in order to give this effort. In the long run, this will help them prepare for hard playoff games. Well said. I co-sign. Wouldn't change a thing, Busy. You either lose or you learn. That annoying thing that Tibbs says. And I'm not the only one that said that. Jeff Van Gundy said the exact same thing. Last one. Okay. Josso focused again. Okay, last one. You said the last one was the last one. Be harsher on 30. Terrible offensive foul in OT. You mean the loose ball foul in OT, which agreed. I think they were both battling down low, and he just got caught being the one that had the final push. But I'll actually push back a little bit. Man, they're down 6, looking lifeless. And he gets the steal and starts an and 1, and then gets his own rebound and kicks it to RJ. And maybe that's just the short-term memory of what just happened at the end of the game. But I thought a lot of fouls that Randle normally gets goes to the consistency of the officials today. I think Randle was as bad this game. And look, as far as OT is concerned, you got 9 guys out there that have played 40 minutes. So you're running on fumes at that point. If he made a terrible foul, I'm not excusing it, but I'm explaining it. So thank you, Ja. I appreciate the energy. Dom Cappuccini, again, turnovers is what makes this team a tough matchup. As you said, John, we hit the 3 better a la last matchup. Probably pull away today. Get a sniper, Leon. Yep, I would be in on Alex Caruso if that is a thing that is real. That the Knicks have had scouts have had scouts at Bulls games recently. I would absolutely be in on Alex Caruso. I really hope that that's the thing that they do. Red Sarachek with the contribution. Thank you. Forgotten NYC. We play them again next week. Gonna need a Xanax. Well, fun fact, I'm off next Sunday. So you guys enjoy that game. I'll probably watch it. And, I'm meeting up with a friend next weekend. So shout out to the NFL. They have the Giants playing the Eagles next Saturday night. One of my closest friends is a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I hate all things Philadelphia, so I'm going to go jump on the Giants bandwagon, and we're going to hang out and watch that game. And it's like we're going away next weekend for it. So me and a bunch of my buddies as a result. But I'm sure I'll hopefully the trend of the road team winning every game is a thing that happens, and you don't need that Xanax, Forgotten NYC. Thank you for the contributions as always. Blockiana Tiania. I apologize, I just butchered your name, but thank you for the contributions. Why doesn't Tibbs trust his bench? Starters are gassed in the end because his bench is bad. Blockiana. This is a guy that used to play his bench a ton of minutes when he trusted them. Believe me, when the We Here season, that was the thing we all looked forward to, is when the bench finally comes back in. He couldn't find the happy medium last season, but this year, you see in the minutes distribution that he does not trust anyone but Emmanuel Quickley with heavy minutes. And look, I actually think if the energy from this is just Emmanuel Quickley, then yeah, I would agree. There's 8 more Emmanuel Quickley minutes I could have seen, but I'm fine with the way Obi's been lately. I mean, look, could Obi be used differently? Yes. Should they get more and run more and get out and transition more with Obi? Yes. There's that baseline jumper that Obi took that it was almost like you saw it was an oh no, and it ended with a oh damn, not a oh no, yes. He just is not he's out of rhythm right now, and it's why I understood last season why they never committed to not playing him as many minutes as they did, while acknowledging they should have played him more. And it's also why I wanted to see what he looked like with Jalen Brunson last season, playing a little more minutes. But yeah, they need to make a move so that way they give more options for Tibbs to go to than a few guys that he doesn't actually trust. Thank you, Blockiana. D. Fwesh. They lost this game at the line tonight. Great effort, though. Competitive Knicks game brings a smile to my face. I actually don't know the number. What did they shoot at the line tonight? 28 of 35. In fact, they missed the same number of free throws as the Toronto Raptors. They both missed 7 free throws. Yeah, make here a couple makes away from this being a 4th straight win. So, thanks. Josh so focused. I addressed this already, but I'll answer it. Josh so focused. Okay, last one for real. Fix your mic, Mac. LOL. I don't know why he keeps adjusting his mic. I don't know what it is. It's literally the same as this, if you could see. All right, for those watching, it's an arm that his mic is on. So you leave it here. Your hands are free. You don't have to adjust anything. I don't know what it is. Maybe he needs a new arm. It's 2 years old. I'm going to fix it. Don't worry. But thank you, Ja. As a producer, I personally take that into consideration, and I'll make sure that gets fixed ASAP. Dom Cappuccini. Again, geez, Dom. Real talk, John. How are you feeling about the Knicks bouncing back by winning out the rest of the week? Forgive me, but I want no parts of the play-in. So let's look at the rest of the week. The Knicks technically are still 1-1 this week. They play Washington. Welcome back, Kristaps Porzingis, on Wednesday. They play Atlanta on Friday. And then they play Toronto again on Sunday. Atlanta in Atlanta on Sunday. Watching Washington, I'm confident that the Knicks can win that game. Atlanta's tricky because, like, there's the baggage of it's Trae Young against the Knicks, and this narrative that he always beats us, even though it's just, like, not a fact. It's a 5-game series where he didn't even shoot all that well. And then, regular season, they've kind of beaten up on Trae a lot, actually. He's only won at Madison Square Garden twice, but I digress. Whatever. The narrative will be out there, and it'll obviously be out there on Friday. And then you're back again against Toronto. I'm confident. Look, this team needs a day off, so hopefully they take advantage of the early game today, and then it's taken easy on them tomorrow. But 2-2 is what I would go with for this week overall between Toronto. I guess technically so this week ends with Washington and Atlanta. Yeah, they have to go 2-1 in their next 3 games because they have a ridiculously tough stretch coming up after that. So at least 2-1 in their next 3 games. And look, if you take care of your home game against Washington and you split between Atlanta and Toronto, it's tolerable. And then you're 26-21 going into this tough stretch. So that's where I feel, at least, Dom. Hopefully, John, I'm sure, will address in a future post-game where he's not talking to Jake Fisher when this question comes up, how he feels. Thank you, Dom. Oh, Red Sarachek with an actual contribution. With an actual question. Thank you, Red Sarachek. Can't blame JB for that shot. Not sure we get a better one at Tibbs timeout. Oh, this is actually really funny. I'll read it over because I read that poorly. Can't blame JB for that shot. Not sure we get a better one at a Tibbs timeout. It's not even the Tibbs ATO after timeout play call that I'm most worried about. I do not want that team to be able to set up a defense. So it's a combination of both. It's like half I trust the scatteredness of getting a good look, which JB did. He got a wide open 3. And he's in rhythm. It just didn't fall. And I don't need Nick Nurse being able to dial up a defense and get his guys set, get the right 5 that he wants out there, give him a second to refocus. You got a good look, he missed it. So I agree. If there's ever a team to go small against, it's the Raps. I heart 16 minutes seems bad any night, especially tonight. Jalen Brunder paid. I like it. Agreed about Hartenstein's minutes. I would have gone to Sims already. Curious to see if that is something they eventually do. So that's the other part, them going small. That's another place you can get quickly minutes from, especially since they were getting killed on the offensive boards anyway, and the defensive boards anyway, as far as that was concerned. He went small for 1 possession in the fourth quarter, and it's funny. That was something I wrote down as like a criticism of Tibbs. It only hurt 1 possession, but tie game down the stretch. Comes out of the timeout. It was after Van Vliet hit one of the shots to tie the game. Van Vliet comes back on with Randle at the 5, RJ at the 4, Grimes, Quickly, and Brunson. Something I would have gone through earlier. Thought it could have matched their size a little differently. Although, again, then you're really small with Quickly, Grimes, and Brunson on the floor. But he goes to that 5, Quickly gets an up and under, gets fouled, goes to the line. Mitch comes back in for Grimes. Not RJ, not anybody else, for Grimes. I thought he was coming in for Brunson, to be completely honest. And he comes in for Grimes. And on the very next possession, the guy that Mitch is guarding gets fouled. And then they bring Grimes back in. It was 1 possession, but like those are the margins that you look at in a close game like this. It's a 2-point game. You could point to 65 different things and be like, oh, this one thing cost them. So, yeah, I noticed that they could have gone small, but like say they go small and then they're getting beat with their size, then it's tough to like. I know the Raptors go like play small because they don't play a center, but then they also have like wing with wingspan after wing with wingspan that it's tough to with the Knicks personnel argue that they could have gone a certain way. Thank you, Red. Much appreciated. Mamble Maxo, length disparity against their three wings. Oh, length disparity against their three wings. RJ's efficiency will be the difference between a playoff and play in. Sorry. Trade Randle plus 3 picks for one of those three? Oh, RJ plus 3 picks for one of those three. Woo! Man. So, RJ, this is where Jeremy and John need to come here and say exactly why it's tough to trade RJ. Because of his poison pill in his contract extension, it's really tough to trade RJ. I'm not 100% sure I understood the words I just said. I just know that that is a line from John and Jeremy. That's why I don't dabble in fake trades. I let them do it. I'm not trading RJ in 3 picks on principle for anyone but Pascal Siakam. I would probably trade him for Scotty Barnes for RJ plus 1 pick, but like Scotty Barnes has been bad this year. I know we just saw him like play really well against the Knicks, and that like pumping up of the crowd thing was like things New Yorkers fall in love with. But I'm not doing that. And OG Anunoby, I'm not here for the Donovan Mitchell trade package he's going to cost. You know, I'm here for like a reasonable trade package. RJ in 3 picks is I'd get for Siakam, but that's it. Thank you, Maple Maxo, much appreciated. Dom, I'd gone down to look for your comment. Congrats to John for the spot with Jake. Proud of him. Cuse Girl BK. RJ's poor play is annoying because Adam Silver gave Zion and Ja, he gave them to irrelevant cities who had better rosters, and the 3 players taken after him are better. Yeah, I think we do that with every draft, that we compare higher picks to the people taken before them, and then some of the people taken after them. I've adjusted my expectations with RJ. I think he is what he is. It's why I got frustrated during the summer when I would see many will be better without Donovan Mitchell, and with RJ, he will be better long term than Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a 3rd best guy on a good team. You know, that's what I think RJ is. There are times this year where I've thought, the last 2 games, I was thinking that they're better with Emmanuel quickly closing than RJ Barrett. Today, I understood RJ was getting them good looks. RJ was playing good minutes. I didn't think that meant quickly has to play 21. I thought you could have staggered even more than you did. But yeah, I think it is unfair that we compare him to those drafted around him than to what he actually is. Okay, next up, David Greeter. This team misses Burks hardcore. Oh yeah, Alec Burks. They could use a bench scorer right now. Need the bench scoring and D at wing. Too small and don't have good matchups with bench. Tired of blowing leads. Yeah, this one's a little different because I don't look at a 10-point lead as that big a deal. I know Fred Kratz's article was great and it pointed out. I thought the takeaway was less about like a lot of teams blow leads. It was more like a 10-point lead's not a thing. You know, it's 3 shots. It's 3 possessions can wipe away a 10-point lead, not completely, but like can take a 10-point lead down to 1 just like that because of how the 3-point shot is. So they were up 10 late, up 9 with a couple minutes to go, and then it's 3 possessions and they're down. But you're right about Burks. I'd have loved if they could get him back. If there's a way, I'm not sure. I've had some people tell me yes or no if the Knicks can trade for Alec Burks this season. If they can, I would love it. If they can't, oh well. But exactly, a guy like that can help you with your bench units is exactly what the Knicks need right now. Red Sarachek again, also first time super chatter. Thank you and welcome, Red. Thanks for everything. Grimes equals movement. Why not more run through him? That said, no moment seems big. It's too big for him. That 3 at the end of the fourth quarter. Agree with you. They should run more plays for Grimes. He cannot take 5 shots a game. I watched last season. I saw them run specific plays to get Evan Fournier open looks. Those plays, like Benji's talked about this, those plays should just be recreated with the same looks for Quentin Grimes. You can't tell me they can't. Like, I don't care that they have 3 ISO guys, right? Like, Jalen Brunson doesn't need to take 29 shots for you to win a game. You can find other ways for your shooters. So yeah, that I'd agree. Grimes should be taking more than 5 shots a game. That's for sure. Will Oliver, tough matchup on a back-to-back. Hurt, but proud of the effort. 100%. Brian Benjamin, I disagree about Obi. Your coach, I hear the tone here, Brian. Your coach is barely playing you. You know he will pull you out of the game for an error. I just feel like Tibbs needs an offense that isn't Jalen and Randle Cook. This has been a topic of conversation lately. I will not disagree. I'm not also going to, like, where they are as far as the offensive rankings are concerned, I don't think that's relevant to the point you're making. Like, yes, they're top 7 in offense, so it's not broken. But down the stretch, it gets entirely too stagnant. Like, you see Toronto, for whatever they are offensively this year, you see them making the extra pass. You see them passing out of double teams quickly. It's precise. They know exactly when to pass out of the double team. You see them making the extra pass every time. And you don't see that a lot with the Knicks lately. It's been, like you said, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, with Randle and Brunson down the stretch, which is why I was so impressed with that one possession where Randle saw the double come. He hit Quentin Grimes for a 3. You know, that should be more. But as far as Obi is concerned, it's one thing I did worry about when Randle was going off, that, like, how much more, what does this do when Obi comes back? Are we back to 12-minute Obi games? And he played 11 minutes tonight. So I just wonder if the ship has sailed to an extent. I believe I'm at the last super chat, and it's appropriate if we are, and I am. Forgotten NYC. GMAC, thoughts on future Jet Danny Dimes last night. So, no, Danny Dimes will not be a Jet, because I think the Giants are going to give him a lot of money this offseason. And if I'm Danny Dimes, I don't leave the situation I'm in. I don't leave Coach Dable. I don't leave this system that has turned me into a guy that you wonder if the Giants should pick up his option and wonder what team he's going to be on next year, into a guy that's 2 wins away from going to the Super Bowl. Like, let's flatly put it that way. He is 2 wins away from the Super Bowl. And he had a lot to do with that victory against Minnesota yesterday. And it's a lesson to Jet fans that you shouldn't give up on a struggling young quarterback, despite how very bad he's struggling. I don't think Zach Wilson should be the Jets quarterback next year, but I would understand someone that says, like, 2 bad years doesn't mean that is what he will be. Having the right coach, the right system, the right playbook around him is how you properly develop a quarterback. Having said that, if Aaron Rodgers is available, please go get him. Thank you, GMAC. Thank you, GMAC. Thank you, Forgotten NYC. And thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been the KFS post-game show. If you're watching, please do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel. We just hit a milestone. Shout out to Knicks Film School's YouTube channel, 11,000 subscribers. Greatly appreciate everybody that's been tuning in. That number's only continuing to go up. If you're listening, please leave a 5-star rating and a review. We'll be back tomorrow with a new podcast. Technically Wednesday morning with a new podcast, John and a special guest to talk about the Knicks. And then Wednesday at noon. So a recent article that John referenced, a Q&A with Kristaps Porzingis, about some ways he's reflected on his past and how things ended with him in New York. And with Kristaps Porzingis coming into town with the Wizards on Wednesday, that Q&A that Porzingis did was with Mark Medina, sports writer and columnist around the NBA. Mark Medina is my guest for Wednesday's show. We're going to talk to him about that conversation he had with Porzingis and what that could potentially mean for the future. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. If you dig the show, I think I did this already. There's also one super chat that just came in from the one and only Busy. I gotta scroll a while, Busy, but I'll read it out loud. Love the spicy super chats. Get the pitchforks out. Fan is short for fanatic, so would expect nothing less than pitchforks and spicy super chats. Shows how much we care about this team. All right, thank you for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you after the game as far as live is concerned on Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your MLK Day, and remember the reason why this is the reason to reflect and not necessarily to celebrate. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Peace.